All right, before we break everything. All right.
Hello.
I think so, yes. We've got this up here. Things are recorded. The country reps, and about a month ago, I set up the JETAA USA Discord. So I'm going to talk about like the setup process itself.
Nice. I'm Becca Guttentag. I am the JETAA Southern California co-president. I was Oita Prefecture 2014 to 2018, and setting up the Discord for Southern California was something that we talked about literally last NatCon, and we got it set up this past February. So a little more time than Adam, but still pretty new.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ryan Hata, the president of JETAA New York. I was an ALT in Totsuki from 2014 to 2017, and I'll be talking about how we use Discord for officers and chats and meetings and things like that.
Great. I'm just getting out my notebook so I can follow my presentation.
That's a library.
Wow.
I know.
Yeah. So yeah, formal.
Okay.
Wow.
So we just said what the different focuses we were going to have is. So here's just a quick rundown again. And I think it's worth pointing out that at this moment, why Discord at all? Why go through the trouble of making the switch? So there is a shift happening right now where younger people are not engaging with social media that us elder millennials use. And in fact, I know from my president in JETAA Rocky Mountain for their outgoing jets, they were checking with them what kinds of social media they use, and literally none of them have Facebook accounts.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it is important to be thinking about how you're going to transition and maintain communications with your chapters. So let's talk about setup. So setup can be as easy or hard as you want it to be, but the first piece of advice I'm going to give is cheat. So
Yeah.
I just looked at what JETAA Southern California did and blatantly stole everything they did. So I didn't have to reinvent the wheel. Jets are notorious for trying to reinvent the wheel. Don't do that. Just do what Southern California did because they have a fantastic Discord setup. So what I want to go over are some key elements. But like I said, I only set it up a month or two ago, seeing that like we do have a JETAA USA Slack and no one's on it. It's basically dead at this point. People are not checking it for national notifications. You don't get the same kind of like group dynamics on Slack that you do in Discord for a variety of reasons. But there are the major concepts about setting up your Discord that you want to be aware of is there is a way to do an onboarding process, which means how do you get people to know what your Discord is for? How do you get people to engage with it in the right way? And of course, typical things like rules and what's inappropriate, what's appropriate, things like that. The other thing is that there's two major concepts for running your Discord effectively, and that is channels and roles, and they're very intimately intertwined with each other. And so through a bit of tinkering, when you're setting up your Discord, you'll get a feel for it. So this is just a very basic introduction so that you're thinking about it when you're set up a Discord for your chapter. Or if you want to, we can make a Discord channel on the JETAA USA Discord. If you want like baby steps before you make your own independent Discord, I'm willing to help you guys out with that. So just to take a quick look, everything you need to do is going to be under server settings. So once you've actually created the Discord account and you've gotten a cool icon for it, this is where everything is, of course. And you can set up different channels and things like that. So, and we'll get to that in a moment. So here are your roles and here is your onboarding. So for example, let me jump over here. So here, and then here is our actual Discord. And if you're looking over to the left side, you'll see all these channels. Your channels should be a reflection of what you want your chapter to do. So chapters, in my opinion, should be a mix of business, which Ryan will talk about, and fun, which I think Becca's going to talk more about, right? And that's actually the really nice thing, because if you're using your Discord to do chapter business on private channels, you're also in the social space where your general members are hanging out and you're in tune with what they're doing. That's one of the really nice things about it. And then these channels that you see on the left, you'll see things like announcements, introductions. These are designed so that everyone sees them. Same thing with general and job announcements. But if we go further down on mine, you can actually see something like committees. So these are hidden private channels, which we can use to coordinate across members all over the US to do different things. There's also a whole set of channels that I believe are hidden away related to different positions, and that's because of my role on the Discord. So for example, let me jump back to my slides. Yeah, so roles and onboarding. I might jump ahead by accident. Yeah, so if you want to do onboarding, what you'll do, so you have onboarding and channels, the way they interact is you have default channels that everybody is going to see. Then when you do onboarding, you can set up questions. The way people answer those questions affects the channels they're going to see. So if you have people who are potential jets, you want to make sure that they see a new jets or interested in jets channel that they can talk in, or departing jets, right? Like you want a place for them to go that maybe other people don't need to see or want to see, something like that. So, and then there's also something called server guide, which I'll touch on in a little bit as well. So if we go to settings, and then you'll see all the way down here is onboarding. And if I open this, right, you will move through these three items at once to create your onboarding experience. So, right, default channels means managing kind of what people will see. So what you see as a checkbox means that everyone sees that. It's a default channel. And you'll see this moderator only one, of course, no one sees that but the people with moderator status. But Discord FAQ, JETAA USA social channels, and find your local chapter, like everyone will see those and they have to actually interact with those channels at least once before they can use the Discord. Then these other channels are all here, sort of, they pop up depending on what you're doing. So if you're a board officer who is an event planner or was an event planner, you don't see event planners unless you have told us that you are or have been an event planner. And so we're still having a discussion within the community about what should people see or not see. You'll get more bothersome messages from me after NatCon is over. But keep in mind, this can all be mixed and matched around. And Discord will get mad at you if you have too few default channels. They'll start yelling at you. You'll get like red signage that like, you can't do this, you need more default channels. So it has expectations. So what you will do is you kind of set up your channels, and I'm going to jump back. So you make channels, again, keeping this really simple, right? You'll see more in the weeds as you do it. Then you can make your questions. You get a maximum of 4 pre-check questions before people start using the Discord. So think very carefully about what's most important to you. For JETAA USA, the most important thing to us is who is a board officer and who isn't, because we want all jets to be able to come here. Board officers need a space to communicate, and we need a place to communicate for fun as well. But maybe the general jets don't need to see like the webmaster's channel, right? But they could see it if they wanted to, right? You don't have to lock it out completely. Another discussion.
Can I jump in there?
Yes.
Like for regional ones, and I can show a little bit of this in my portion. You can also do things like area focused. Like we have it split for LA area, San Diego area, Orange County area, Arizona, so that people can fine tune their experience and have access to channels specifically for those groups.
That way, Arizona folks don't have to feel sad about not being able to show up in LA yet again for another event, right? That kind of thing. So of course, think of ourselves as the national network. You can see how alumni, current jet, aspiring jet, do you work for a nonprofit or do you work for a private business, right? Because we would want private businesses to be interacting with our people in some way, shape, or form. And then, of course, again, thinking of JETAA USA, right? Are you a current alumni? And what's your current officer role at this time? Which is different from what have you done in the past? Because previous officers have experience to give, and we'd want them interacting with current officers, right? So it looks superfluous to ask these 2 separate questions, but it does actually matter, because if you only ask for a current, if you just ask what positions do you have, you don't know if they're doing it now or they've done it before, which may not be the biggest deal, but I decided this was important. And then, of course, where is your current chapter? Or what chapter did you depart from if you're like a current jet? And you can go back and change this at any time, and that'll change the channels you see. And this is just good to know, because one of the things channels let you do are these, one of the things these questions do is it lets you auto assign roles. And so there's a role for every alumni chapter, and I could type at JETAA Rocky Mountain to talk to every Rocky Mountain jet at once on the JETAA USA Discord. And then of course there's, one thing is, it actually doesn't matter that much if you're an ALT or a CIR necessarily. So this happens after the fact. So you may never fill it out, but it's not a big deal if we don't know it or not. Likewise, what prefecture you're from, it's a fun question, but it doesn't necessarily help us do business as JETAA USA connecting chapters and whatnot. Takes a while to write all 50 prefectures, just so you know, like, I just.
But there's also a world where if that became a role and you know that there's a specific prefectural like delegate coming to an area, you
Right.
can tag anyone to
Exactly,
be like,
yeah.
hey, people who used to be in Hyogo, like we have this, there was reach out from the Hyogo prefectural office.
Yeah,
Anyone needed
something
to-
like that could come up. And so the reason why we're spending so much time on this is that when you do the setup, you will spend a surprisingly large amount of time in here setting it up. Like you've got to choose just the right emoji for each answer, right? This is very important.
Like, wait, what were these?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Prefectural emojis.
So yeah, we'll go. No, I didn't do.
No.
No, that
I
would be
was
too
like,
much. That's-
prefecture
no,
emojis,
no,
wow.
no, too much, guys. Prefecture emojis. There are position emojis though. So, okay. So the other piece here is roles, and I believe I have a roles slide. So, oh yeah, I'll come back to that in a moment. The permissions. So roles are also the other super important bit. So here's what our roles for the JETAA USA Discord look like. Roles are hierarchical, which doesn't necessarily mean the higher up they are, the more powerful they are. But what it does mean is that we have former chapter officer above being a current a position, and that's because that is whatever is highest up on this list. That's what you see a member as being. That's the decorative flair they get on their username. And so I wanted to be able to make it easy to distinguish a former chapter officer who, if you click on their name, you'll see all the roles they chose for themselves. You'll see that they were a webmaster. But if you're a current webmaster, then it would actually, webmaster would be the highest. And if you're an aspiring JET, if you accidentally said you were an event planner because you misunderstood the question and you were a professional event planner in real world and not JETAA land, then this would actually be the top thing, and people would understand that you're an aspiring JET. It was actually more important for us to know in terms of how we're interacting with each other. So there's a subtlety to how these roles work. And you can see there's a USJETAA role, which is special. You can't get that. I have to assign it to you because USJETAA is its own independent organization. So Kimberly has the power to use that role. Yeah. Right.
Use it.
Different. And again, depending on how you answer the questions, it will do things like assign your chapter role. It will assign your ALTC IR role. There's the 2023 NatCon delegate role, which I have been assigning to everybody manually. And because that channel is private. So that's like a place just for us to talk as a cohort of people there. It's not just broadcast out to anybody. And of course we have the prefectures, and I think all the way at the bottom, this did take a while, yes. We have a NatCon graphics team. So this is really important. We have Google Workspace, JETAA USA. We cannot bring outsiders into our Google Workspace to collaborate. So we need Discord. Discord is that place where we come to have collaboration across chapters, collaboration outside of JETAA USA's workspace, because this NatCon is not possible with just 3 country reps running it, of course. And that's why roles are so important. So the other thing is that every role, I won't go too deep into permissions. I don't want to spend too much time on this. But every role, you can set individual permissions, how powerful that person can be, what they can and can't do. And there's tons of options. I'm not going to get into them, but you can have the power to post customized emojis, which in the wrong hands could be very bad. But you can disable sending messages, things like that. So if there's we can make it so no aspiring JET could actually post to the Discord, which would be strange, but maybe we don't want strangers showing up and just like writing random things on our relatively public Discord. I don't know, just as an example. But just it's very fine-tuned. You have a lot of control over what people could or couldn't do. Like the country rep role on this is basically an administrator. They have full rights to do anything to the Discord. And that one is a private role. It's assigned. You can't just get it by answering the right questions and then delete our Discord on us. So, right. So I just wanted to kind of make that clear. What's really important is this feature is important for an obscure aspect of onboarding, which is that you can create channels that are designed for onboarding, and for them to become onboarding channels, you have to disable sending messages on them. It's very obscurely explained inside of Discord. I had to spend some time Googling around because I could see what JETAA Southern California had done, but I didn't know how they did it.
Mm.
And I had to like Google around for the obscure setting to make this happen. So just be aware that when you create onboarding channels, this feature has to be activated. This onboarding concept of a channel that no one can post to, except for like the administrator. They would post content, but nobody else would.
Sorry, you made that difficult.
No, that's not your fault. That's Discord's fault. So, yeah, and I jumped way ahead on the roles thing, but we went through that already. We have 92 roles, by the way. That's because of all the prefectures. That's the only reason that happened. Prefectures, JETAA chapters, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Just so you know, roles max out at 250. So if you're going to get really in the weeds, you might hit the upper limit, just to be aware. I think it'll be fine. 250 is very generous. But if you start to get fancy, you're like, I want a role for every type of profession out there, you might actually start hitting that limit pretty fast. So don't get too ambitious with Discord roles. So I just wanted to kind of make you aware of these things. It does go a little deeper than that, stuff like that. And just to show really quick, if I go back to our USA Discord, there is this feature that appears after you set up onboarding. So these are my answers, like Adam Lisbon's answers to the JETAA Discord onboarding questions. I can say, well, I want to be a CIR now, or both, because there are, yes, look at me. Oh, I got an award. Yay. I'm not, but let's say, you know, I didn't answer this correctly because I've been different board positions. I'm a former chapter officer because I'm a country rep now, but I should actually say that I've been a president and that I've been a, where is it? I've been a secretary. So now I can update it, and people who look at my profile will see my history of work within the JETAA community now. And that's why we have these kinds of things. And there's no save button, I just go back out. So. But the survey guide channel appears and you'll see you have these things that like tell you what to do, things like that. It teaches you how to do your nickname on Discord as well, so that you're not, my actual Discord account is Moo Cow Dive Bomb. It's not very professional, but I can change it so that it looks like just Adam Lisbon. That's a thing that Discord will let you do. So that's your quick Discord setup 101. I did not cover everything. You'll definitely hit a few hiccups, but it's really powerful and really cool. And you can really customize like the experience of people joining your Discord that I think puts people in a really healthy place to continue engaging with it.
And if I can give one more thing there,
Yes,
I don't know
please
if you
do.
mention it. So one of the ways that he was able to copy from our the JETAA SC Discord was that you can actually export the template of whatever your Discord setup is. So we were able to pass the template on to you, I believe.
No, I just copied I didn't know that was a thing.
You passed, you passed it to us to New York.
Yeah, New York got the template.
So yeah, you passed it to us.
I
Thank
just
you
looked
for
at what
that.
you did and recreated it
Oh
by
my
manual.
goodness.
It's crazy.
No wonder you spent so much time.
But I understand it now.
But I think there's a great outreach opportunity to reach out to us and say like,
Yeah.
hey, I'm looking to do this. Could we get your template? Like,
Yeah.
we are happy to share that.
Okay.
Or Adam can teach you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna pass it to Becca now, please.
So I'm going to talk about event promotion. As we all know, JETs are on a lot of different channels, doing a lot of different things in a lot of different places. And you can have a mailing list, but some people don't check their email. You can be on Facebook, but some people don't have Facebook. So we've tried to diversify by using Discord, not only as a place to promote the events, but even a place to host events. So just a little bit about the JETAA SC Discord. Like I mentioned, we began in February, like officially kicked off in February of this year. Currently in the Discord itself, we have 132 members and we just got 12 in the last, that says month, but it's cut off. And right now we are putting ourselves out there to be open to the new JETs who have just joined. And like Adam said, we have kind of a different setup for them to be able to onboard, as well as alumni JETs to try to connect those different groups. So one of the ways that we were able to use this, and I'll get into this, is that we actually partially held our pre-departure through Discord as a test of how we could do that kind of collaborative work together. So how do we use Discord in order to foster engagement in events? So there's sort of three major features of Discord that have helped us in this regard. Discord has a specific events portion of its setup that I will show off in a bit. It has audio channels, which can be used for a variety of different things. And it also has forums built in, which is slightly different than a regular channel or within the Discord itself. So as for events, getting event promotion out there can be kind of difficult, but we like to try to diversify as much as possible. So this is putting it in our newsletter, putting it on our social channels, but beautifully in Discord, there's the ability to create what is essentially an event in a very special channel section of the Discord that is constantly notified. So what are the options that you can do in this setup? Well, you can choose to voice it or to host it in 3 different ways. I'm not going to really talk about stage channels right now, but we'll focus mostly on a voice channel or somewhere else. So we have events that we host directly in Discord in the voice channels, which we'll talk about. But we can also host them elsewhere and have it set up to link somewhere. So let's say we wanted to host a Nihongo Dake dinner event. I could choose the voice channel that is specifically, as you can see there, set up for Nihongo Dake. Once I do that, there's a section where I can put in the information, add a lovely little graphic. So for this one, let's say, for example, I was setting up our Nihongo Dake is usually followed by some sort of gaming event or trivia event. So you can see here that I can set the start date, start time, put a little description in. We usually use the same description from the newsletter into here, make a nice little image. And then once that's finished, what you can see is I've kind of had to cut it off because there was not much space in this slide. But as you can see, there is a specific section on that sidebar that says one event. So once I create an event, that event shows up there. When you click on that, it'll show you like, here's the little blurb about the event. And not only you can mark yourself as interested. So we get somewhat of an RSVP count there. But it will also then send a notification to people who have marked themselves as interested that the event is starting when it hits that start time. You will also see that it's kind of marked as ongoing. If someone were to come in and be like, oh my God, I forgot that this event is going on. Let me jump in. So we've been able to host a bunch of virtual events that way. It does the same thing. It's basically the same setup for anything virtual or in person as well. We'll usually set it up there just to have the information about where we're hosting it, just to make it as public and easily accessible as possible. And the fact that it kind of gets kept to that one little event section means that it doesn't get lost in a slew of other messages. So yes.
Do you advertise this event on Facebook? So are you no longer using Facebook?
We're trying to use Facebook because there's really been a dichotomy within the, especially post-pandemic, because there's really that divide. And I fell kind of right in the middle of it, where anyone who was on JET, like my generation of JET and earlier, they were using Facebook. It's, you know, older to mid millennials and older generations are the ones who still use Facebook, especially for, no, I mean, it's especially people who are making families. It's easy to have that be that hub. But on younger generations, we find that they're not using Facebook. Like Adam said, no one even creates them anymore. And instead, Discord has kind of a gaming affiliation with it already. So it's much easier for people who already use that this as their main focus to check in there, whereas the people who use Facebook check in on Facebook. So we try to keep them as aligned on events as possible.
Gotcha. So you'll like create one for this, create one for Facebook.
Yep, exactly. So you may have seen me mentioning audio channels. So what are the audio channels? Well, if you are used to using something like Zoom, audio channel is basically a built-in Zoom, a built-in Google Meets that just is hosted naturally in Discord. I know that Ryan's going to talk about this a little in his section, so I'll keep it kind of brief. They allow for various different kinds of audio channels. So you can do them you can see we have voice channels for our general lobby. If someone just wanted to hop in and have a chat and someone else was online, you can do that there. We've also created unique ones for our water cooler, for our trivia and games events. If we were to have a watch party, we would have that there as well. But we've also been able to tailor into those specific subsections that you see in the sidebar. So you can see that we've hosted our Nihongo Dake section to have its own Ippan Hato, so like a general chat, as well as the Nihongo Dake chat. Then similarly, and I know Ryan's going to talk about this as well, you can use it even for specific officer only organizing. So I'll leave that to him. But as you can see, it is not just audio. You can actually do video as well in there. So one of the major ways that we've been able to use it is for hosting those game nights. So we've made kind of we try to do it monthly, where we do a Nihongo Dake dinner for the first hour, followed by either trivia, which, as you can see, I can screen share. Everyone can play virtually. I promise this was a screenshot that I made for myself. Usually we do have more players than just myself.
This is what you were talking about.
I know, yeah, it looks really sad when it's just me hosting the trivia for myself, but it has allowed us to do a few virtual events. And not only that, as you can see in the top left, it actually has built-in games that are kind of native to Discord. So if you know, there's Bubble League, Know What I Mean. There's a bunch of other things that are natively built in that you can just host an event for and do that virtually through that platform. So that has been huge for us, trying to do that balance of in-person versus virtual events. And lastly, I want to talk about forums. So if you've looked at the different kind of sidebar options, you may have seen that a lot of them are marked with like the hashtag. That is just a general channel. It kind of functions as a chat. So every post that comes in comes chronologically and will fall back as more messages come in, like a text bubble. Forums allow for a little more organization of various topics. So what we have used this for mostly, as you can see, is we have pre-departure discussions we put as a forum area. So what this has allowed for us to do is create a section for various different discussion channels that our new jets we're looking at. So you can see here we had, if you want to put your placements, similar to how Facebook, you can have separate threads for different conversations. This has kind of allowed us to do that. Pre-onboarding materials, questions, and any resources. We also use it for our job postings. They allow you to also filter based on different tags that you can set up. So as you can see here, it's a little small, but we have the ability to filter if you're looking for a Japanese company, if you're looking for things that are Japanese required or not Japanese required. You can say things that are volunteer, remote, you can set it up however you like, but this has allowed us to kind of keep a list of posts and have a question and answer section per post to keep things a little more organized. And so they're not getting lost in longer chats. I actually was talking to someone recently who was like, you should use that same function for events. So if we're going to have an event that is like a potluck, you can create a potluck event and have a discussion for like, where is everyone parking? Is anyone doing a carpool? What is everyone bringing? So there's a little more flexibility and the ability to use the forums to be able to diversify how you're giving information out to everyone without making it be just a huge lost sea of messages. So I think that's the last of my section. If there's any questions about the event specific stuff before we hop into chapter business.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
For the forums, you mentioned about like making one for an event or potluck or something. Do we have the capability to delete it afterwards? Like if it's a one-time event kind of thing and it's like no longer needed, and instead of like, adding a lot of noise in there, is that a possibility?
So you can clear out the event or those various different posts. I believe you can delete. I know that one of the reasons that we were thinking of using that for events specifically is that they don't disappear as often.
Okay.
So, after the event clears, they will still be there.
Mhm.
Whereas I will say that if you create an event in that event space, once it's over, it cleans it out. It's not needed anymore. But it has meant that I was like, oh no, I kind of wanted to copy that same template for another one.
Okay.
Oops.
If it's a regular recurring event, maybe it's
That makes
better as a
sense.
forum,
Right.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I actually had a question about the first section. Are we doing questions like section by section? Or?
I was gonna host that, but I know we've got.
I mean, I can do mine really quickly and then we can go to a general.
Sure.
Yeah,
If
let's
that's
finish
all
up the
right.
whole
Yeah.
section and then we'll do that.
So yeah, chapter business, more formalized. So as Becca had mentioned, we use their Discord and my vice president, Stanley Chen, actually built out our Discord. So it began pretty recently in June of 2023. We currently have 96 members. And the reason for that is because we wanted to get the departing jets on board, because we knew, to what everyone else was saying earlier, this is the platform that they use, the social media platform. They don't use Facebook or anything else like that anymore. So yeah, we invited the shortlist class members. We had 81 from New York, and I think 56 are in our Discord. So kind of shows that, yeah, way more activity than on Facebook. So how we conduct chapter business. So yeah, Becca mentioned the two different types of channels we have. So we have the Discord channel, which is more like the chat function, and then we have the Discord audio channel. So this is it right here. Yeah, so maybe you've seen this guy around. So this was part of our Japanese Heritage Night. This is where Max is posting. He got his hat. So yeah, because we joined as a group, we were able to get a commemorative hat when Shohei Ohtani and the Angels were in town playing the Mets. So here you can see here we have the officers only. So it's the chat function, but it also has a little lock symbol. So I think that's what Adam touched upon earlier, is that you can have these private channels so that just the officers see it and it's not kind of open to everyone else. Here on the right side, you can see that I was online when I took this screenshot, and so was Peter, who's our outreach chair, was online. So it's really intuitive, where it shows, yeah, you could see, oh, who's online, you could quickly message them. And then over here, it shows all the other officers. And then, yeah, I think last year we used Facebook Messenger to communicate, but since we were gonna create this Discord, I made kind of the executive decision that we're going to go all in. And so we've been using Discord exclusively for all our communication. So yeah, Megan, who is our secretary, kind of just reminded us like, oh, be sure to get in all your events so she can generate that newsletter for us. And the second portion we have is the voice channels. Yes, I mean, I mentioned it earlier that it was Max and myself kind of took a semi meeting, because I didn't take a screenshot of our actual meeting. But yeah, so like we said, it has the voice channels here, and it also has the function where you can turn on your video. So I guess there are a couple of things that it does well. The audio channel is really great. And yeah, there's no setup required. Like, you don't have to go and create a Zoom kind of meeting. So it's great. Like, one time I logged on, and then Max needed to ask me a question about finances, and so we quickly just voice chatted, and then Stanley jumped on board, and so the three of us were having this nice conversation. So that was really great. But things that it doesn't do so well, because it was originally a gaming platform and only a lot of voice only, it's not so optimized for video. So there are 13, 14 of us on our exec team. And so we found out that it's been pretty laggy with the video. And so actually, during our last meeting in August, I told them, like, yeah, we need to switch over to Zoom. So I just created one really quickly. So that could be maybe a deterrent if you wanted to do video calls with folks. And the other feature that it's not really great at is that we can't just have this kind of open communication. You need to use headphones or headsets. Otherwise, there's an echo, really bad echo. So yeah, those are kind of like the pros and cons of using the voice channels. So yeah, now we will take questions. I know that there was one here about setting up for Adam. So yeah.
Thank you.
So I've been pushing for any JETAA to get Discord, and one of the main concerns I heard was they're worried about people just randomly jumping in who are not affiliated. Is moderation a concern for you at all, because it is kind of a public channel?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I can say that usually you have to be invited to a Discord using the invite links. There are ways to set it up. So like, if you create an invite link, you can set it up so that it expires in 2 weeks. Or you can have it be open. So, but you can't, for most things, you can choose to set it up as a public thing that people can search, or you can choose to keep it private, invite only. So we have not had any randos jump in.
Yeah, nothing yet for JETAA USA there. The other thing I'll say is that depending on the roles you do,
Yeah.
some roles have the power to offer invite links and some don't.
Yeah.
So you can make it so that only your officers can generate invite links. But if you have some long-term like folks in the chapter that you know are totally fine, you could give them that power. But you can't do it user by user. You have to assign a role to that person. So you could say like longtime veteran and any JETAA veteran, and you know they're like trustworthy with
Yeah.
like stuff like that. And they
Yeah.
would have that ability because they have that role assigned to them.
And you could give someone, for example, either, let's say you had someone going out to an event for like a career fair and you wanted
Yeah.
to make sure that people had access. You could generate a link for them that
Like
they
a
could
QR
use.
code.
Right, that you could set to will expire in 3 weeks.
Mhm.
So they can give it out at the event, but you know that after 3 weeks, it's not like that link that they shared out will be accessible for whichever, career fair person you gave it to just hand it out willy-nilly.
Yeah.
Discord is delightfully flexible on how you can use it, I have to say, since
Yeah.
starting to set it up, yeah.
And I will also say this is slightly unrelated to that, but related to Discord's flexibility. It also has a huge community because this was set up a lot for, gaming
Mhm.
communities, people hosting their own channels. There's also a huge support network of people who have set up bots. So for example, we have a bot that sets a reminder every Friday of like, hey, the water cooler is going to kick off later today.
Oh, wow.
So that will, and it generates a link that if you click that, it'll take you right to the water cooler event.
I will add that on the New York Discord, I saw they had a poll bot. So by default, you can't run polls on Discord, but you can get a poll bot. I tinkered with that on the JETAA USA Discord. Expect a lot more polls after NatCon is over.
Yeah, I liked
can-
you set that up, yeah.
So there is a lot of, there are people who have established these bots that can allow you to add these functionalities as you need them. You can play around with them. I'll also say that one of the real benefits that we've seen of Discord is not only do people already have it integrated, because that's what I think was the trouble with Slack is many people use Slack for business or Teams, something like that. So they understand the functionality, but there's kind of sort of two sides. There are some people who use it for work and therefore don't want to use it for social stuff like this.
Mhm.
On the flip side, there are people who, we have other social media sites, like obviously there are social media sites that work really well for people like Instagram. Some people still use Twitter, but they can't do this kind of collaborative online gathering in the same way that Facebook does, but is currently a market that is becoming a little more, I don't want to say segregated, but split. So this acts as a very nice kind of medium ground between Slack and a Facebook for a generation that is moving off of some of those platforms.
Mhm.
Have you had any difficulty with older generations moving on to Discord and adopting it?
A little. So one thing that really helps is that, it's browser based. You can get the app for it, but if you bookmark a browser tab and just ask them to check in on it every so often, it's a little bit easier. But like I said, a lot of businesses do use Slack or something similar to it. So there are a lot of our older board members who at least have some experience with something like it in their day-to-day work environment. But it's still a growing process. That's why we're still, for the time being, we do still need to keep Facebook just as active. But, perhaps there is a future where Facebook fades out completely. Perhaps there's a future where it does stay still relevant. But either way, having both set up and at least maintained somewhat regularly means that we have the option to continue expanding.
Yeah. And I'd say probably, this is something I don't think any of us have looked into this, but there surely is something that will let you post an event to Slack and then it just appears on Facebook, which would be great because then you're not pasting twice. You have it done in one
Yeah.
shot.
Nice, wow.
So we have to figure out if that exists somehow in some way.
Yeah. Also, the nice thing about Discord is for most of, I think you're using it free. The version that we have is the free version. We have not
Yep.
expanded the need for Nitro or anything like
Yeah.
that. Which means that it is still very accessible and not taking out of your budget. Now, there are certain limitations on certain things. Those voice chats, I think it's 50 people. The staging ones, which is more like a presenter event, those I think go up to 100 or 200. I have to look it up. And those only allow one person to be presenting, but for what it is, and the, like, how much it can do for free, we found that for us, it's been extremely helpful.
Kind of preaching to the choir, but I just want to add on that. I know a lot of the prefectures, I know AJET and Connect Magazine are both using Discord as well. So it's definitely something that the
Yeah.
current jets are all using.
Nice.
Yeah, current jets are very
Very good, yes.
actively using Discord right now.
Oh, I literally like not stole the idea, but I joined it started after I left, and I only left in 2018, but I joined the group and I was like, hey guys, can I just like peep in here and take a look at how you guys are using it? And so that's
Yeah.
how I got the inspiration.
And no comments from online yet, but Virginia, the VP from JETAA Florida, just said that she's learning so much right now. So thank you.
I will say I have a Discord for my Minecraft server because I am a nerd. But my point being that when I go to play Minecraft, because I'm a nerd, I have my Minecraft server Discord, but then right above it is JETAA USA. And so
Can't you go back to the,
I was
yeah.
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
see if we can show, I mean, you have it open as well, but I was gonna say, do any of these show it? Nope.
Yep,
No.
You
I don't
you
know.
have the actual Discord though.
Yeah,
I saw
so-
it. Yeah.
So here's my Minecraft Discord server. If you want to, I hope nobody said anything inappropriate, but we have like a video and tutorials channel. We had a basic info channel of like all these different tools. So if you need to do your Minecraft color gradients, you know what to do. But like this is what people are using it for in terms of, because it was a gaming tool. So it's actually kind of
Yeah.
nice to see this. This is the sort of recreational use of Discord.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that people generally don't use it for their companies means that people don't have this like feeling when they get on Slack to go do
Right.
like JETAA work, right? Like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm back at work kind of a feeling. With Discord, it's fun.
Yeah. Oh, I have logged in to just do a
Yeah.
chat with my friends and I'm like, oh, there's a notification.
And you'll see here that I'm on JETAA USA, but now I'm at JETAA New York,
Woo.
right? And then I'm at
Yes.
JETAA SC, and JETAA Hawaii, or sorry, Great Lakes has a Discord, Hawaii has one, and Chicago has one also. Yes.
Oh, you can also, I will also say people do use it for their personal stuff, and then for like their friend groups and stuff, you can create folders in this sidebar to group them together. So you could group if Adam wanted to keep the Minecraft one out of the same grouping as the other JET ones, you can put them all in a folder and collapse that as well. Yeah.
There's a lot.
And honestly, the nice thing about it is you can play around with it. You can delete channels, you can edit things. I have made mistakes and been like, oops.
At
and-
this NatCon right now, we have a channel called NatCon Tech Emergencies that we've been using in the background.
Ah,
I will also say that I really like the phone app. I've been very happy with it. And I've been using it all during the conference to make sure that like I'm up on if someone has a question. Like, for example, we were asked about sock exchange. So super important. Sock exchange will be tonight at the
Yeah.
dinner.
Okay.
So keep telling everybody to bring your socks to dinner. Just
Bring your
putting
socks to
just
dinner.
putting a plug in. Yeah, just got to do it. All right. But yeah, is there any questions online from anyone?
We got 1 more minute left. No questions online, but if
Has it helped at all with promoting your in-person events, or have you seen like any like improved attendance through Discord?
So I don't know if we've seen any increased attendance versus the newsletter because they go out simultaneously, but I find that it's a nice reminder, just if like you go to that events tab and I can click that and be like, okay, that one's coming up on that date, that one's this date. So, oh, I forgot that one was happening. So,
Or like I guess like a management tool on your end.
yeah.
So it's like I don't know.
It's much
Very
less
good
noisy
communication.
than Facebook,
Mm.
I would say.
Yeah.
Facebook is very distracting. It doesn't have great UI, to be honest, whereas
Yeah.
Discord is surprisingly like slim
Intuitive.
and like very functional for like the kinds of, it's very much about bringing people together to like enjoy each other's company.
Yeah.
And I
Do you
think
mind
that's
if I go
really,
back to
yeah,
your-
please.
So I was gonna say, I mean, one of the UI things I really like is you basically got 4 different kind of areas of focus here. You've got, I mean, this can collapse. So you've got like who's online, that can collapse if you need more space here. But you can see this is very, accordion style, where you know that you're in the USAA JETAA Discord, and then here are all the things in there. You can accordion style hide the groups that you don't really care about. If you wanted to be like, yeah, I don't care about alumni connections right now. Yeah, thank you. You could just click that little accordion and hide that away.
And you can see here, just to show roles off a little more, you can see that like presidents are at the top because they're the most highest ranked board officer possible. Yeah, but you know what I mean, right? Like you do have to assign a ranking to every role. There's no like equal roles, quote unquote. So all current presidents will appear together here. So here's how many chapter presidents are online at the same time. You could get them growing in a group. There you go. So yeah, Blair just came in.
You can
So
also see when people are typing.
yes.
If I'm in the chapter and I start typing a little dot, well, it's here next to my name. But yeah, also if you show, like, you can click on my profile and it should show all those roles.
Which one are you?
To the one named Rebecca. the
Uh,
president section.
oop.
Oh, I disappeared.
Oh no.
No.
Well, we can do Melissa.
Melissa,
Yeah. So you can see here's all the roles she has assigned to her. I think as a visitor to the Discord, you can see that too. You should be able to. Yeah. When they joined, things like that. You can see their original name. Like if you go to Adam, you'll see that my original name is Mukau Daibon. Yeah, there's not really a story to that. I just threw those 4 words together at
Nice.
once. But yeah, you can see all of my different combos of things. So
And also you can, if you were to click on his profile, you could see like, what are the servers that you should
Yeah.
have in case. you need to,
yeah,
Like,
kind of interesting. Spencer is the president of AJET. So
What's up?
yes, but he should not actually be in here because he's president of AJET. So he chose president, but I'm like technically wrong.
Wait,
But
can you edit his roles?
I could,
You
I can, I have the power.
Yes, you
He
do.
has the power.
I could take away his president status if I wanted to. I'll leave it be. I'll leave it be. But this is really nice because AJET got on this right away just to prove a point. AJET
Yeah.
started talking to us immediately. They let us know when their new website launched. Like this was a really great way to actually communicate with AJET.
Yeah.
And like we had never done that before. And suddenly we're talking to them regularly.
No questions online, but final
We're at
comment.
time.
before we
Yeah, I
wrap
think
up.
we're
right.
right
I
at
think we're
time.
good.
Yeah.
Virginia again from Florida said she wants to be added to the delegate channel on Discord, so.
Ah.
Oh, well, there you
Yes.
Yeah, also, I will say, like, I'm happy to share our info.
You should DM me.
Yeah, I was gonna say, feel free to DM if
Oh.
you want my contact in our Discord, I have it.
And one last thing I would add, so you can see some people have not changed their nicknames. So like I'm Adam Lisbon here because I forced my name to be different. It's not Mukau Daibon. If you don't update your name, you can be very hard to find and message, which can be a good thing. But your name is per Discord server. It's not the same on each one.
Yeah.
All right. Just as an example, /Nick. And then I can change my name to Adam the Great.
Nick.
And now my name is Adam the Great. I'm gonna change it back now.
Cool. Actually, I think.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
I'm glad that was so helpful. This was really like, it's amazing to me as well, because we literally had the discussion last NatCon, which was virtual, and we were like, yeah, this